Okay, so this is Sunday, May the 10th, 2026, and this is my third video that I'm doing tonight, and this one this one proceeds the one entitled "Update Issues Encountered and Resolved at Work." Elaboration number one: potential impact on colleagues and workplace. And after I concluded that recording, I was thinking, oh, this is like I talk a lot about ubiquity and how many things are ubiquitous, and the moment you realize that, oh my goodness, it really sets you up to understand that everything we do in life, including every thought that we have, has major importance. And I like to always say, like, we literally are the sum of everything that all the choices we've made and all the actions that we've done, much like we are virtually what we eat. And anyways, so um, um, I like studying the dictionary, so like this is a word that's maybe a little more familiar to me, and I also like saying it, much like superfluous. That's um, a word I love saying, and spontaneity. And anyways, um, but for those of you that don't know, like what this means, it virtually just refers to like the widespread presence or prevalence or omnipresence of something. And in this case, or in this context, I mean it as kind of like a baseline, and I'll expand upon that in a moment here. And oh, and please note that I'm not trying to be condescending by explaining what that word means. And I was going to make a joke and say, by condescending, I mean blah blah blah. Anyways, um, yeah, I don't think I'm the most I think I'm the most funny guy to begin with, and right now I'm a little on the tired side. So, anyways, that was my funny joke for the moment. Probably not the most funny. That's okay. Let's just move forward. Come on, let's just move forward. Anyways, goodness, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So, it's ubiquitous. And I was just thinking about, like, so, like, say like this woman um, at work, and I think I can, well, I guess, like, for anonymity purposes, I won't um, say her name, but I was thinking, I guess I could, like, just say her name. I hate just talking about her and referring to her as the woman. But anyways, the colleague at work, uh, well, we can start with um, well, maybe the second colleague that I talked about, the one that gossiped and seemed to be very defiant. Like, I know she had qualms against our supervisor, in the sense of, it was just like things that my supervisor was suggesting and doing that she didn't agree with, and she thought we could be more effective and more efficient by doing other things. And she thought, because my supervisor wasn't hands on, that she was basing her opinions, or sorry, basing her decisions off opinions rather than, coming to us and, getting deeper information, and to see like the practicality of what's being suggested. There's a lot of things she was talking about. Oh goodness, I thought she was spot on. I thought, if she, like, when she gets to a point where she's mature, like she matures to a point where she's able just to communicate those thoughts without trying to usurp the other person, I think she's going to do quite well. I really truly found she had some wonderful ideas. But anyways, but the like that negligent, rebellious attitude where, you know, regardless of like how good her ideas were, you still can't. You go against our boss's direct orders when our boss isn't around, and then say to our colleagues, "Yeah, this is what she says and what she wants, but I'm not going to do it that way." Anyways, so in terms of it being ubiquitous, it's easy then to see that, like, that's the same personality that I don't believe she's married. In fact, it was a weird situation because she always seemed to talk like she was like available, and when, like, 'cause we worked in close quarters, when she was talking with my colleagues, like, I could hear everything they're saying. I'm literally like 10 feet or 5 feet or 7 feet away from them. But anyways, um, you know, it was I always just felt confused in my mind because when I listened to them, it's like they all seem like they're single, yet this woman seems like she's married. I know she was married, but going through a divorce, and this other woman was like talks, and they always talk about like how she should get rid of the guy she's with, but then it turned out that she was actually with another guy. Then this woman turned out to be pregnant, and and she'd always talk about how she was done with guys, but then it sounds like she is living with this guy. So who knows? Who knows? In all honesty, but um, like her boyfriend or husband or whomever she's romantically involved with, like you could see that that would probably be her personality in a relationship too. Is if she feels defiant against something, she becomes, or she disagrees with something, she could become defiant against it and try and like usurp that person's authority or sorry, not even authority, but usurp that person's decision instead of just like learning how to properly communicate. I always found that to be very peculiar. Like as I mentioned before, I found her ideas to be spot on, and I was very encouraging. Like, yeah, I'm in agreement with that. And I sincerely was, but there's a way to handle it, and there's a way to talk with your supervisor about it. Especially in like it's better to be done like in private confines. But also, if the supervisor doesn't agree with it, then you just got to say, okay, if when I'm in that position, then I'll implement it. But I'm not in that position, so I'm just going to do what the supervisor is recommending. Because otherwise, it just becomes like a personal thing towards the other person. Also, like with her showing up late all the time, it was really taxing, and it was. I can understand if somebody's late, if something happens. Goodness, it happens. If everybody's had times where series of misfortunate things happen, and then all of a sudden you should have been early, but you were late. And other things happen to appointments or impromptu conversations. I don't know. It happens. But this was all the time. It was pretty much every shift. But I found the worst thing about it was she would actually like make up really strange lies. And I remember one of the lies was I was really unsure as to why she was telling me because it's between her and my supervisor. She came in late, and then she said, "Oh, sorry." She's like, my car was like snowed in. And it took me like a half an hour to like shovel it out. And I was thinking, we literally live 5 minutes away from each other. And it like there was a dusting last night, and I've seen you since the last like major snowfall, like which was like a week and a half ago. Like it's such an absurd lie. Like I don't understand first why you're telling me that, but secondly, you know that I know that this isn't true. Like it's like we don't live in different climates. It's not like you live in like like a couple hours away and you're in like snow belt and we're not. But anyways, I thought that was really peculiar, but it was all the time. And like the other thing that she would share things like I was up all night helping. She'd say like some really weird personal things like in her family. And I was thinking that's weird that you would share first and foremost again with me. I'm not your supervisor, but you would go into some great detail. And anyhow, um, in terms of ubiquity, um, it's easy to see in her personal life if she's in a relationship, she probably like if she's unaccountable at work, she wouldn't be accountable in a relationship. If she's untrustworthy at work, she wouldn't be trustworthy in a relationship. And if she makes up really weird and outlandish lies, she would make up weird and outlandish lies in a relationship. And that relationship doesn't just have to be the romantic one. It can be with her children. It could be with her parents. It could be with her siblings. It could be with her group of friends. So it's patternized. It's ubiquitous. It's going to flow in every relationship that she has. And if people don't see it, it's because there's a performance that's taking place. So instead of and then once that performance ceases, then the person will say, "Oh, you're going to stay changed." And then somebody who's in the know will say, "No, no, that's just the way they always are." And always have them. And yeah, I like thinking about these things. I find it's very worthwhile to think about these things because it reveals like a part of human nature that's that's revealed through actions and through patternized behavior, and then you can or you can see virtually like the direction or the trajectory of that behavior and um, And I find so it's good to note these things. I can pray for people. I can pray for them against these things specifically, but also that I can use this as an examiner and pay attention to my own life and understand. Okay, am I dishonest with anyone? Am I if I'm dishonest to my boss because I'm afraid to admit like this one truth about me, like maybe I had diarrhea. I don't know before work, and I was like, oh, I don't. Oh my gosh, I had diarrhea, so I'll just make up a lie. Well, that lie actually discredits me in the future because if I make up that lie and somebody calls me on it, then I'll have to use another lie to cover up that lie. And I'm going to know that I'm lying. And then that is going to virtually lower my inhibitions to not lie. And then, anybody who is a liar or a pathological liar started out with one lie. It always starts out with like the genesis for beginning. And in order to not be a liar, I should never lie. If I want to be honest in all my communication, I will be honest in all my communication with every person in my life. So it technically is ubiquitous. And and if I'm not going to be responsible for the little things, so if I look at my a job and say, "Oh, this is just a menial job," and it's just it's like an entry level job, so I'm going to be dishonest here because it's not really that impactful. That's one of the biggest lies that can be ingested and then and harbored in a heart and agreed upon in a mind because then all of a sudden, if you're irresponsible with the little things, how much more easy will it be to invoke that lie uh, when there's major consequences on the line and there's like heightened pressure um, and heightened responsibility, then if you can lie about something it's like very small and menial, you most certainly can and will lie about something that's heightened. And so anyway, so it's a lot of good learning lessons from this, and I love to examine these things. And as I'm going through them, like this is part of the life that I'm living. This is part of the life that of the people around me that they're living, and part of like even the dynamics at this work where I was working. And yeah, I think on that note, I'm going to conclude this, and I'm going to bed. I'm a little on the I'm on the latter side of tired. So, anyways, good night.